Timballo Genovese, or Timpano as some call it, is an elaborate, super extravagant Italian pasta cake, if you will. It's generally served on super special occasions. It's been around for a very long time, but it was popularized in Stanley Tucci's movie Big Night back in 1996, which kind of brought it to like mainstream audiences. And ever since I saw that movie, it's been on my cooking hit list. Like, I need to make this thing. It needs to happen. And today it is. So there's a ton of components that go into this dish, but the catch is that you don't know if it's gonna turn out well until you plop it onto the table. So I'm a little spooked for this one. Gotta keep it real. However, lucky for us, I just so happen to know a very talented Italian chef who is more than capable of taking on this challenge with us.
What up? How'd you get me here?
If you don't know Joe Sasto from one of the many TV shows he's been on, let me break it down for you. Joe cut his teeth in the Michelin kitchens of San Francisco, where he learned to make pasta better than most nonas, and became the well-rounded cook he is today. Back in 2017, Joe debuted on Food Network's Chopped, where he ended up winning it all. Then the following year, went on to be a finalist on Bravo's Top Chef. Since then, Joe has been on some of the most popular American TV cooking competition shows like Guy's Grocery Games, Supermarket Stakeout, Beat Bobby Flay, Top Chef's All-Stars, and is even judged on Chopped. Very full circle. Nowadays, you can find Joe doing much of the same on TV while also juggling cooking content creation and doing pop-ups from LA to Chicago to New York. I mean, the man is everywhere. In other words, I would not want to take on this Timballo challenge with anyone but Joe Sasto. He's more than qualified and a super fun hang, so let's do it.
I don't know if I'm the right person for this. I've never made this either, but I'm just as excited about it as you are.
Okay, so you have a kick-ass sauce recipe, an amazing meatball recipe. I want to use those components in the Timballo, so you want to run us through the sauce?
Let's run through the sauce. All right, like all good things in life, starting with a healthy amount of olive oil.
He's unscrewing the top. That's a move.
That's the move. We're gonna go onions and whole peeled garlic.
Explain the onion situation here.
So the sauce, Sasto family red sauce, gravy, as we called it growing up. Different, I didn't know that gravy actually was like not a universal term for red sauce or marinara. Because I'm Italian American, where we come from in New York, it was gravy, but that was like our red sauce or marinara. And like, it was like, I think middle school when I was saying like, oh, we had spaghetti and gravy last night. Kids looked at me like I was crazy.
Because you're thinking like brown beef
brown
gravy,
sauce.
Which wouldn't suck.
That's our next video.
Yeah.
Spaghetti and brown sauce.
Let's just piss all the Italians off together.
So this is my mom's recipe. She married into an Italian-American family.
Okay.
And so being French, she didn't use a lot of onions and garlic, and she didn't love the way that it made her stomach feel.
Got it.
So, but obviously she couldn't leave that out of all the family recipes, and this was her workaround. So she would fry the onions and garlic in the generous amounts of olive oil, pull them out, and then add the tomatoes, and the onions and garlic never actually make it into the final sauce.
Got it. So that's why the onion's larger, so it's easier to pull out after.
Exactly.
Right. Well, we don't want super soft caramelized onions. We just want a little bit of Maillard to infuse into that oil. Yeah.
Precisely. We're not looking to break down the sugars. We're looking to add the roasty toasty flavor.
Love it. Okay.
We're just gonna pull these out, leaving as much of that oil behind. All right, pro tip. We have very hot oil. We have tomatoes that are mostly water. Let this cool before you add this, or you're gonna have a big splatter mess to clean up. In with our crushed tomatoes. We'll go a little bit of thyme and a bit of oregano.
Oregano, you gotta have the oregano.
I love oregano. And some salt.
Can I do the black pep?
Hit me, pepper daddy.
You know what I like about this sauce, dude? It's super fresh, because this really doesn't simmer all day. This is like, it can be a 30-minute thing, it can be an all-day thing. The addition of the herbs kind of seems like it makes it richer, but you still get that fresh tomato taste. So we'll put this on the back burner and let it simmer when we make the meatballs then.
Let's do it.
We gotta talk about the meatballs. I love your meatballs. They're very, very soft and supple.
I love when you talk about meatballs.
There's no workaround with this. There's
not.
So where are we starting here?
We're starting with the base of all good meatballs, sofrito. A big squirtle of olive oil.
Squirtle, squirt.
Diced onion. And chopped garlic. Pinch of salt. That's not only gonna season it, it's gonna help break down, release some moisture. We're looking for no color here. Low and slow.
Coaxing those flavors out, huh?
We are sweating the onions.
In this case, we are sweating the technique.
Sweat is the technique.
Eric B. and Rakeem would be proud.
Don't sweat the technique.
So we're upgrading my mom's meatball recipe for this one, taking in a lot of French influence, making a panade, which is like a fancy word for a binder, emulsifier, moisturizer for our meatballs.
Cool.
Made up normally of like some sort of bread, egg, and dairy. In this case, we're using breadcrumbs, egg, and ricotta.
Perfect.
Or as my dad would say, ragut. Have you heard that?
Ragut.
Ragut. That's like the
like ricotta, but ragut.
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 Ragut. Eggs, ragut, or ricotta.
A whole lot of ragut. Whole lot of ricotta.
And I like to start by mixing this up first, just to make sure the eggs are well beaten. You want the whites and the yolks to be one.
Look how fluffy that is already.
This is like gonna ensure you have a super moist ball. Calabrian chili paste, salt, and breadcrumb, oregano, thyme, and some greenery for the scenery. Parsley.
Oh, yeah. I might take a little bit of that for garnish later.
Yes, you should.
Yeah.
And we will mix all this goodness together.
And this helps just distribute everything more?
Yeah, I find like you'll end up over mixing the meatballs sometimes if you put all these ingredients in separately. And this allows you to mix your meat or beat your meat less.
If you will.
And this is what you're looking for here in your panade. I'm gonna set this aside while our onions and garlic cool. We got our cooled onions and garlic, parm, and peck.
2 hard Italian cheeses. Oh yeah.
Then we just need our meat. I bet this would make a really good like pasta sauce.
Yeah, like fill it, do the filling. For
yeah,
ravioli or
pasta
something.
filling, pasta sauce. So much flavor.
Yeah. And that is the panade, extremely important for a good meatball. All right, so here we got some ground beef. This is chuck, so it's 80-20, fatty. And then we also have our pork, also fatty. These 2 meats are chosen for their flavor profiles. So we're just gonna add all this into our big mixing bowl here.
All that panade. And because it's already pre-mixed, this is gonna mix into our meat easier.
I love that.
So here,
yeah.
give me one more big pinch of
kosher.
salt. Simply because we don't wanna have to mix this twice. So if we season it now, hopefully we're nailing the seasoning and that way we don't have to add more salt and mix it again.
Yeah.
I want that meatball that like right when you look at it, it just starts to crumble. You could do this in a stand mixer if you weren't making a triple batch of meatballs.
Oh yeah, we are making a large batch. This is gonna make about 40 meatballs, but I love this recipe so much that I wanna make some extra so I can freeze them. So you can easily take this recipe, which will be in the description below, and pare it down by half and you'll be more than fine, but I like a meatball.
Who doesn't?
Also, imagine like a little burger situation with
I've done
Come
this.
on.
I've made meatball sliders, smash ball sliders
I love
with
that.
this before.
So check it out. That is what we're looking for. That pale, it already smells so good and it's not even cooked. That's it. Cool, I think we're ready to ball out.
Now what I always like to look for when I'm doing the meatballs, a lot of people overlook, you want to make your edges nice and smooth. You have crackly bits.
I'm gonna go in.
They end up, what happens is like that's a nice one. See how it's all nice and smooth?
It splits, you don't want it to split.
It splits.
Yeah.
Or you'll like get some of that fat to render out and it'll start to like leach and you'll lose some of that juiciness.
So
versus you have a nice smooth ball, it almost creates like this outer shell or seal on your ball.
All right, broiler's on. Let's pop these in the dungeon. Unfortunately, that won't fit.
That's okay, I'm just gonna leave it like this.
Money. Hey, that's a great way to make sure your broiler doesn't burn your food, by the way. Just leave it peaked. Some ovens, it'll shut off, but for the most part, you should be good. Get a nice little bounce check on that.
A little.
Boop, 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 boop.
We got nice caramelization on our balls. We're gonna drop them down away from the broiler, kick up the oven, and just let them coast all the way through till they're cooked and done. You could do this in the sauce, but because we're making Timballo, we're gonna do a little different today.
So the shell for this thing is traditionally pasta, right? In the big night, it was pasta.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You see, I think this is a perfect example of like Italian cuisine.
Yeah.
And like you go like one house over,
Right.
and they'll make it something completely different, and both families will be like, this is the traditional way that it's done. I like the idea of pastry.
So yeah, we're using a short crust pastry. This is a pate brise in English, if you will. It's just a really short, flaky, crispy crust that's going to kind of like harden and lock everything in the actual pan itself. I got one bigger one for our base, and then this little one's for the lid.
I feel like if this comes out nice, I'm gonna serve this at my next pop-up.
Oh, this is...
And that way, if you're watching this video and you come to the next pop-up, you'll know the first time that this was ever tried.
So I'm gonna take this while we get our other ingredients kind of situated and this cleaned up. I'm just gonna pop this in the fridge to stay cold. So we got our sauce, we got our ziti. This is ziti here. We chose this because it's gonna, these smaller tubes will cake together nicely in theory, right?
We're talking about structural integrity. So I think if you go, I've seen big rigs, the big thick boys, but I feel like with the big rigatoni, more of a chance of your Timballo falling apart versus little small ziti, it's gonna hold together.
We'll use a fair amount of this sauce here just to make sure that the noodles are coated, and we'll save the rest for the actual building process. We just want these like basically coated in red, but they don't have to be like super saucy. And also the cool thing about ziti is that it's actually, ziti means whistle in Italian.
Does it?
I just made that up.
And I was like, wow, I'm learning something new here today.
I thought it would be pretty helpful just to kind of get everything on the table to see, to show you guys what's about to go into this thing. So we got our cooked and sauced ziti here, some provolone cheese.
Provolone.
Some cubed salami. We got some Parmigiano, Pecorino, some medium to soft boiled eggs because they will continue to cook. That's a little tip. You can also hard boil them too. We got our halved meatballs here and our sauce, and of course our chilled crust that's ready to rock. So without further ado, man.
And don't forget, we got our chicken glue.
Chicken glue. Those are just beaten eggs. We're gonna pour it over the top and that'll help everything set together theoretically. Layer of ziti.
Meatballs.
Layer of provolone.
Boiled eggs.
A little bit of salami for that dry cured situation taste.
A little bit of sauce.
A little pecorino.
A little Parmigiano. Now the chicken glue.
The chicken glue. Just gonna kind of pour that all over the thing there. Get it in the middle, on the sides. The final thing is the lid, which is just this same pie crust here, just a little smaller, already rolled out for us.
And then keep in mind, this is the bottom, because we're inverting this once it's baked.
Exactly.
So you're building backwards, building upside down.
I don't mind, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this inner part and tuck the outer part in, kind of.
I like that.
It's gonna create a bit of a crust for sure, but who doesn't like a little extra pie crust?
Yeah.
When you're eating like a chicken pot pie or another savory situation, you know, like that little extra at the bottom is never uninvited to the party.
Demon.
So we're folding this under, which is another reason we don't need the egg wash to connect it. And there's probably neater ways of doing this, but like I said, we're going rustico. So we have our little crust kind of worked around. You can see it's a little heartbeat. So we're gonna take a fork and crimp it just like we would a pie. Now to your point, we need steam holes so that the air can escape or else it's just gonna puff up too much. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apple pie it up with little slits here. So we're ready to go. This thing's all baked and loaded up. We got our holes in, everything's crimped. Pray for us. So an hour and a half in the middle of the oven at 350 Fahrenheit.
The magic temperature that everything cooks. Whoa. Wow.
You hear it sizzling away. Oh yeah, get the fuzz on there. All right, she's looking glorious, man. Give that a whiff. Give that a whiff, yeah. Isn't that insane? For real though. So here's the thing. I've read a lot of different recipes on Timballo, and it says that after the oven, you're gonna wanna let it rest for 30 minutes, but
the inner chef in me says to treat this like lasagna. And we all know lasagna is better the next day.
100%.
Or needs to rest at least 45 minutes to an hour before you cut it.
And that seemed, with something like this that is thicker than a lasagna, bigger than a lasagna, and it's in this cast iron pot that's ripping hot, something tells me that this thing, if you really want to do it right, eat it the day of, needs at least an hour before you unsheath it and another hour to cool down before you slice it, I would imagine. This whole 30 minutes thing's kind of crazy.
It worries me. So, we have a little surprise for you.
Yeah. I made one of these yesterday, completely cooled it down in the fridge overnight. It's been about 24 hours. So we're gonna slice into that one, see how things play out. And then later after, we'll slice into this one and we'll show you a little side-by-side of what it would be like if you left it in your fridge versus a freshie.
Okay. Yeah, we are.
I think we're looking good.
It's gonna pop out. So we're gonna let that rest a little.
Yep.
We're gonna cut into the other one and then we'll come back to her.
Yeah, put this one on the back burner. Here's the one I made yesterday. So a little bigger air holes there, but the same exact recipe, the same crust, the same components that go into it. So the interesting thing before you do that, this stove, there's a lip on it here.
Oh,
so
I
you
see
can't
it.
really
I
get
feel it.
down
I
under
feel
it.
it.
So I think it should, now I lubed up this with a little bit of olive
We
oil.
didn't lube that one.
I know, and it works perfectly because there's so much butter in that crust, you don't need it. You ready?
I'm ready. You feel it release?
I think. Oh.
Don't you like when you make the big pot of like tahini?
Yeah.
You give it a little, say a little prayer.
At this point, I don't think our prayer's good enough. Oh wait, I had an idea.
Do you have a blowtorch?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. In the meantime, just admire how clean my Dutch oven is.
Wow! Wow!
Oh my lord. Let's go.
This is a solid.
Oh my god, you're manhandling that?
You could live.
Yo, no way.
It's a solid piece of pasta.
Oh my god, dude. Look at that. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna put that down just in case, but.
That's the whole bottom rips open.
Yeah. Oh, she's dense. Oh, she's dense.
Almost a quarter wedge.
Just one serving size. Oh man, are we ready?
Here we go.
Crazy, dude.
Look at it.
Dude, the layers are really pronounced. Can we just look at the inside here? Look at this.
Wow. All right, I think we did it. We're officially Italian.
Are we Italian?
We're Italian.
That's horrible.
now.
Hey, mama, mother f***ing Mia.
Do you heat this up to eat it, or do you eat it cold?
So I think something that we could easily do to heat this up would be actually to just pan sear it a little bit.
That would get nice, and you get a little coat on the outside.
Exactly.
Not the worst idea.
Oh yeah.
I would call this baked ziti casserole.
It kind of is with salami and other stuff. I don't think there's a neat way to do this, so please dig in, my man. Cheers.
It has Chicago-style pizza vibes because of that butter crust.
I know. You don't often get these flavors with that buttery crust. So it's almost like an Italian pot pie of sorts.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah. It's really good, dude.
I'm weirdly into this.
Yeah, because it's like it's a lot. Don't get us wrong, but in a good way. And the egg actually stayed jammy, which is super interesting, like the boiled eggs.
Yeah, people are obviously going to be turned off by the fact there are eggs in here. But in Naples, you'll often find hard-boiled eggs in your sauce instead of meatballs.
Nature's meatball, dude.
Nature's meatball. So don't be weirded out.
I feel like we still gotta try it cold though. Try it. This is like an Italian pate vibe.
Not the same.
I like it hot. I like it hot.
The crust and the pasta itself kind of like marries together in this like you can't tell the difference between the two when it's cold.
A flaky, buttery, warm crust. You just don't get that with this cold, gummy, starchy situation here. I would choose to eat this warm, 100%.
Yeah. Which now begs the question, we prefer the warm version. We have one that's been cooling for like 45 minutes and not 24 hours.
Right. So
and that one's still gonna be warm,
yeah.
but will it hold up like this? I have no idea. We got our fresh boy.
Joe, you should do the honors.
I'll do it.
Kiss it. That one's coming
I
right
think
out.
I felt it.
That one's coming right out.
Ooh.
Wow.
Now I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm very, very curious what's gonna happen when you cut into this.
Oh my God.
It feels more solid than you'd think.
Okay. Oh, it's juicing.
Wow. So maybe you do eat it warm right out of the oven.
I guess so. I mean, it's really holding.
I would go like a little like, hey, how you doing, a sauce. A little light shaving here, because you don't want to cover up the beauty and the grace. But you do maybe want a little cheese. A little greenery for the scenery.
So here's the thing. It kind of comes apart on you. Let's try up here. Look at that. Just like big, crusty, beautiful,
And you
saucy.
Got, yeah, you got the cheese,
Oh yeah.
the egg.
Come on. Yeah.
A little egg,
Yo, this might be it.
butter crust, a little sauce.
Cheers, mate.
Oh God.
I think we could say we did it, dude.
I would
Let's
count
go.
it. I would count it. We're officially one more notch in our Italian belts.
That's a W for
That's
the boys.
a W for the boys.
And that's all she wrote. If you think you want to give this one a go, I highly recommend it. It's a hell of a project, but I think you're gonna have a good time doing it. Yeah, like the video. If you like the video, you're planning on making this, best way to support us is over on the Grocery Fund, AKA the Patreon. Literally helps us keep the lights on, helps us make the meatballs, all the good stuff. But if you can't financially support, that's totally chill. Regardless, come say what up on Discord. We be chatting and cooling. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this, so come on into the disc. And yeah, Joe, my mans, thank you so much. I'm gonna have all of his information below. He's on all the socials, but what are you working on right now?
Biggest thing, if you haven't tried Tontos, the first and only puff pasta snack. Check us out, Eat Tontos. We're on Amazon. Find them on my Instagram, Tontos Instagram. Or if you're feeling a little frisky, come over to my YouTube channel and say hi.
Come on over there. You can also catch this guy on the Food Network on TV and so many other places. I'll have all that information below for y'all to check out. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time,
Love you guys.
give him a little peace sign wave like this. Yeah.